dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh.
We're solving one-step algebraic equations on tonight's homework, and specifically addition and subtraction equations to practice using the additive inverse and additive identity to identify a variable value. So here we have x plus 1 6/10 is equal to 8/10. I need to undo this addition operation with subtraction, so I subtract 1.6 from both sides of the equation. Now, unlike last night's homework, you don't need to cite the property and create a proof, but I will talk about what each property is, and this is the property of equality since we're doing the same thing to both sides of this equation. 1.6 minus 1.6 is 0, so we have x plus 0 is equal to whatever this difference is. So sometimes it's helpful to visualize this on an open number line. If I started at 8/10, so let's say 1 is about here, 8/10 is maybe right here. And if I subtract 1 6/10, I'm going to the left. I'm subtracting 1 6/10. The first 8/10 I subtract will get me to 0, and the next 8/10 will take me to negative 8/10, because you see 8/10 and 8/10 is 1 6/10. You could also just find the difference of those two, which is 8/10, and then think about which of these is farther from 0 on a number line, which has the greater absolute value. Negative 1 6/10 is farther from 0, so that determines the sign of the sum is negative. So since x, and here we use the additive inverse because 1.6 minus 1.6, we're adding opposites to get a sum of 0. We wanted that sum of 0 because once we have that sum of 0, that identifies x. X plus 0 is x, that's the additive identity. So x is negative 0 and 8/10, or just negative 8/10. And then we should always check our work. So x plus 1.6 equals 8/10. I'm just rewriting the original equation, and then I'm going to substitute in negative 8/10 for the value of x. And if we look at our open number line again, if I started here at negative 8/10 and then I added 1.6, now we'd be going 1.6 to the right. Adding 1.6, that will take us to positive 8/10, and so that verifies that 8/10 equals 8/10. So we see the reflexive property. We see that our value for our variable is the correct value, negative 8/10. I also want to do problem number 15 with you, the word problem. It says the lifespan of a black bear is 3 years longer than the lifespan of a zebra. The problem is we're not given the lifespan of a zebra, so I'm going to represent the lifespan of a zebra with z. Represent the lifespan of a zebra with the variable z. So the lifespan of the black bear is 3 years longer than the lifespan of a zebra. So if we look at what we know the lifespan of a black bear is 18. So 18 equals 3 years longer than this unknown variable z. 3 years longer than would be adding 3 years to z, so z plus 3. So that's how you write the equation. Why don't you try to solve the equation for z? Be sure to substitute the value of z back into the equation to check your work, and then come back and see how you did.
Paused.
Okay, if 18 equals z plus 3, by the way, it doesn't matter that the variable is on the right side of the equation here. Remember, this is like a balance scale. An equation isn't a problem and a problem on the left side and an answer on the right side. It's just two expressions that are equivalent. So I can solve for z with whichever side of the equation it's on. If it's on the right side of the equation, I'm just going to try to isolate it on the right side. So I don't want to know what z plus 3 is, I want to know what z plus 0 is, because z plus 0 is z. I will have identified z if I can make this z plus 0. So I need to undo this adding 3 by subtracting 3, because 3 minus 3 is 0. But if I subtract 3 from the right side of the equation, I need to subtract 3 from the left side. That's the property of equality. 18 minus 3 is 15. And on this side of the equation, we have z plus 0, which is just z. So 15 equals z, we believe. We'll check it by writing the original equation, 18 equals z plus 3, and then substituting our value, 15, for z. And 18 does equal 18. So we've checked it with the reflexive property, so 15 is z. So the lifespan of the zebra is 15 years. That really should be the answer I'm circling here, 15 years. Because it's a word problem, we have units, we should include the units. Okay, I hope that helped with the homework. I'll see you tomorrow.